It is another edition of the great recap show that allows you to sit back and have a Bloody Mary with me. It is Sunday, Bloody Sunday. By the way, after today's football, or yesterday's football rather, I splurged on the bacon this morning just because I felt like it. Also, as is customary after a long day at work at ESPN, I gave you the bedhead. Who's going to call me Bedhead Barry? Just coming out here looking like I rolled out of bed, which I did, by the way. But what a day in college football. Week 8 of the college football season has wrapped up. It has concluded. And boy, did we get a treat throughout the day. So many things I want to get to. As a reminder, the Matt Barrie Show presented by Allstate, same channel, same time. I'll recap the day that was. I did recap the day that was with Paul Finebaum. And when you look at yesterday, we're starting to see some things take some shape. First of all, cheers if your team won. Mine did not. Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State went on the road against Cincinnati. That's all we're going to say about that. The kicking comment was hilarious. But we now know a few things that are starting to develop in the world of college football. First of all, cheers to Georgia. You get the win on the road against Texas for the first half of that game. It was 23-0. Georgia was absolutely more dominant, more physical. They were the better team. Texas, to their credit, was able to fight back and make it a game in the third quarter and in the second half. But at the end, Georgia was proved to be the more dominant team. Now, here's what I'll say about that. I said it on radio shows, everything I was on last week going into the game, that I just didn't think it was possible for Georgia to lose 2 games this early in the season before the month of November. And they're like, oh, Texas, the number 1 team in the country, and they are, and they were, but it's Georgia we're talking about. And so I wasn't that surprised that it happened. Kirby, on the other hand, post-game, took shots at ESPN, said your entire network picked against us. Not really true. Maybe they did on game day, but there were plenty of people, myself included, Joey Galloway included, and others who thought Georgia would go in there and win that game, and they did. It leaves a lot of question marks now for Georgia, or for Texas rather, moving forward. It was the real, look, they went to Michigan. Michigan's a 3-loss team. They got a good win there. Oklahoma, Red River, that's always a tough game. They got to win there. We're going to start learning about Texas real quick, because when you watch that game, it wasn't till the second half that Texas made it look like they were punching in their own weight class. They're still a damn good football team. They have at Vanderbilt, Florida, at Arkansas, Kentucky, and A&M. When you look at that schedule, look, everyone's going to take Vanderbilt seriously now. They're not going to overlook them. Florida, a big win against Kentucky at home yesterday. Arkansas is a good test. Kentucky got throttled by Florida, and then Texas A&M, who beat Mississippi State yesterday. So when you look at those final 5 games, you're going to understand who Texas is right away. The SEC now is the one that's worth talking about, and it's really, really interesting when you have a look at where everything stands. Because as I pull up the standings this morning, scroll down here to them. Texas A&M and LSU, 3-0, 4-0 respectively. They meet this week. Awesome game, because that's going to decide a couple of things. Georgia, 4-1 in conference. Tennessee, 3-1 in conference. Missouri, they came back yesterday. Texas and Vanderbilt, all 2-1. Alabama's out of it at 2-2. And that's kind of where we are now, because the heavyweights of this conference the last 5-6 years, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, but primarily Georgia and Alabama. And to sit here this morning and talk about Alabama being, I think, 8th in the SEC before November, first time they've had multiple losses before November since 2007. And you have to start wondering how Alabama is going to finish this thing out. There are so many things that are going on in Tuscaloosa that are uncharacteristic of an Alabama team. Well, why is that? Because they had Nick Saban for 17 years. That personal foul call at the end of the game against Tennessee to make it 4th and 22 completely moves them off schedule. They end up going for it. You don't have a play for 4th and 22. They don't get it. Tennessee kicks the field goal. You get another opportunity. They weren't able to do anything with it. And you're looking at a power shift in the SEC right before your eyes. I mean, you really are. Because Georgia, still the class of the SEC, they proved it last night. Cheers, Georgia Bulldogs. Despite what you hear, not everyone was picking against you. Texas is not going anywhere. Cheers to the Longhorns. You lost, but you're still very much in the mix for an SEC championship. LSU, who people left for dead after week one, are just sitting there waiting to get a big win next weekend against Texas A&M. And Tennessee, cheers to Tennessee. 16 of the last 17 games you've lost to Alabama at home. You stay in the fight, and you get the win in the third Saturday in October. And all of this is starting to happen now as the picture clears up. Missouri, we left for dead. Brady Cook was in a hospital yesterday getting an MRI on his ankle. What did he do? Karate Kid. Daniel LaRusso is going to fight. He is. Came back out on the field, led his team to victory. If there was ever a cheers for a Sunday Bloody Sunday, it's Brady Cook and Missouri coming back and getting the win. So when you look at the SEC picture as a whole, same as it was at the top. Georgia today, best team in the conference. Texas A&M, bit of a surprise. Mike Elko, first coach in Texas A&M history since 1918 to win 6 of his first 7 games. How's that for a bounce back after the Jimbo Fisher era? And so now that Alabama's gone, who is going to come up and grab it? And I think these next few weeks, next week the 26th, if my math serves me correct, then you're into November. We're in a spot now we haven't been in quite some time. Now remember, this is the first time there haven't been divisions. There are no divisions in the SEC. And so it's the top 2 teams. That's a very good chance we see a rematch of Georgia, Texas. I would sign up for that. So there are so many scenarios to play out. But what a Saturday and Saturday night in that league with what happened down in Knoxville, with what happened in Austin. A lot of scenarios playing out. LSU, they come off the win against Ole Miss. Arkansas coming out of a bye week. They could have easily made that thing interesting. They didn't. Cheers to Garrett Nussmeier and Brian Kelly for getting that done in a win, 34-10. A couple of other games I want to talk about. Miami again. Mario Cristobal, dude. Like, I want to take a sip so bad right now. I've already drank about a quarter of it. You guys make things interesting, and you were entertaining as hell. Cam Ward's probably the coolest player in college football. Never gets too high, never gets too low. They got a good one from Tyler Shuck. He went for 342 and 4 touchdowns. But Miami, off to their best start since 2017. They were up 31-17. Louisville returns the kick, 31-24. They keep fighting. And Miami, here's what I'm learning about Miami. And look, I'm learning that Michael Irvin likes to be on the sideline and the TV the whole time. But what I'm learning about Miami is they know how to win. And that's all that matters this time of year. You can make it look ugly. You could get penalties. You could do whatever you want. You can blow a lead. If you win at the end of the game, that's all that matters. And that's what I'm learning about Miami. They know how to win. When have we been able to say that about them in the past? And when you look at the Hurricane schedule, as I go down it, Florida State's next. Florida State lost to Duke for the first time in program history. Then they've got Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. Barring any just disaster, I'm going to say that again. Florida State, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake, Syracuse. Miami looks to be in the driver's seat to be punching their ticket to the ACC championship in a collision course with Clemson, who's beating everybody right now. I mean, you look at those 2 schools, cheers, Jim Phillips, ACC. You got a good league coming down the stretch. Iowa State. Did anyone watch the Iowa State UCF game? Of course not. Why would you? It was going up against a bunch of other stuff. But Rocco Becht found a way, final seconds of the game, 38-35. They were getting beaten the entire time. Let me shout out my people in Iowa and Ames, Iowa specifically for that win. There are so many teams and so many stories out there that we're going to have to start paying attention to. And Iowa State's one of them. You look now, the rankings prior to yesterday, going into yesterday, we knew the Big Ten, Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, 2, 3, and 4. Georgia's going to move up. Miami's going to move up. Alabama's going to move down and out. LSU's going to move up. But there sits little Iowa State and Matt Campbell, 7-0. That's the kind of story we talk about in college football, where every single year you just cannot predict who it's going to be, what it's going to be, and why it's going to be. And that's why I love it. That's why I sit here on Sunday mornings with you and rip a Bloody Mary, because we have to sit and really take stock of what's going on. To date, one other thing, if there's a team that deserves to have kegs and eggs every Sunday morning with me. It is the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana football is a thing. 7-0 for the first time since 1976. They are in position to play for a Big Ten championship. If you say you had that, you're lying to you, me, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle. You didn't. 7-0. They're going to have something to say about it. Cheers to Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers. I could go on and on about everything that's going on in college football, because right now, as we embark on the end of October, let me just tell you the teams who are no longer in the conversation. Alabama, you're out. We're not talking about Alabama in the SEC championship. We're not talking about Alabama in the college football playoff. Lincoln Riley goes on the road in Maryland and blows a game like I've never seen before. They're 3-4. USC's opening season in the Big Ten, 3-4. These are heavyweights that are out of the picture early. And so we've got so many games coming up. They're going to make me have like 4 of these. By the way, I don't have 4. Bloody Mary is one and done. Spicy, bacon, salty, get in and out. And the fun starts this week, week 9, Pitt, Syracuse. Just start looking at the calendar, because I'm telling you, this is going down as one of the greatest college football seasons in memory, and it's only going to get better. And we're only going to have it for you right here, Sunday Bloody Sunday, ESPN College Football YouTube channel. Get one.